Hey guys, this is Spartacus here and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're going over the 5 different trials that you can play in the Games of Summer event for Modern Warfare. If you are a free-to-play Warzone player, you can do these trials as well. And these trials are very similar to the ones that you can use tickets on if you own the full game. And personally, I love trials in Modern Warfare. I think it's better than the Spec Ops mode, which is hilarious to say because the only rewards you get for doing trials are XP. But I love doing trials in this game and it does not get as much love as it should, and so seeing this Games of Summer event is getting people more interested in the actual trials themselves, and so I just give them huge props for doing this. And so in today's video we're going to briefly go over each of the 5 trials, and at the end I'm going to be going over my opinion of this event overall. If you do get gold on each of these trials, you get yourself a weapon variant, and if you get gold on all of them, then you get yourself a weapon variant for the Growl, which in my opinion looks pretty cool. I mean, they're all kind of the same type of skin design for all the different weapon variants, but I think it's a pretty cool unique skin for these variants, and I really like them. So anyway, let's go over the first trial here, which is a risky parkour trial, and this is actually a kind of difficult one, not gonna lie. I had a lot of attempts to try and get gold on it, and my biggest tips to you is only use tactical sprint when you're trying to make huge jumps. That will really boost your energy and trying to go further, and I just cannot express that enough. Another thing is when you're jumping over the crates or climbing over them, and if you're using a controller like on the PlayStation or Xbox, do not hold down in your joystick forward. Do not have your joystick moved forward when you're going over the boxes, because it's possible you might just mantle over the box and fall into the gas, which could screw you up, and I've done that so many times, so just be aware of that. But really, other than those 2 tips, it's not too much to actually hard to figure out. I mean, you're gonna mess up here and there many times. I mean, that's what these risky parkour ones are about. It did take me a lot of tries to actually do this. I'm sure you guys can find a more efficient guide on YouTube to actually how to complete it, but those are my tips for you. Do not hold the joystick down when you're trying to jump over certain objects, or else you might just fall in the gas, and also use tactical sprint for trying to actually get those long jumps. The next one is a gun course, and this one was a little bit tricky. It didn't take me as many tries as the risky parkour. Essentially, my biggest tip to you is if you're using a fully auto weapon for this trial, I highly recommend putting it on semi-auto mode, just because you only need 1 bullet to actually shoot down the targets, so just keep that in mind. Another thing is that your secondary should always be a pistol, because it's a lot faster to switch to your secondary than it is to switch to a primary weapon, so also remember that. Another thing, this is huge. I mean, this is absolutely huge. You're gonna have to like kind of figure this out yourself depending on how you want to approach it, but there's gonna be many instances where you can get collaterals on some of these targets, and that will help you so much when trying to get gold on this trial. Getting collaterals in like every case possible is the best way to actually complete this gun course, and I cannot express that enough. So when you go through the trial the first time, try and figure out where all the enemies are at, and the second time you go through it, try and figure out where you can get some collaterals on enemies, and then the third time, try and do your best to get it done, and hopefully you'll be able to actually finish it. The next one is a Marksman challenge. Now, this one, I got to admit, was a little bit tricky at first. I mean, it wasn't too difficult. Essentially, what you're going to be doing is using a sniper to take out these targets. You could technically use your starting pistol, and you only have like limited ammo, but that's up to you if you want to do it. This one's a little bit different than the other Marksman challenges that we've seen in the previous trials, and that's because there's actually these blue targets that have a really random movement to them, where some of these other red targets, they just go up and down or left or right at the same speed, but these blue ones, like, their speed alternates, direction alternates. They're a little bit hard to predict, so that might be hard to get used to. Not to mention, you do kind of have to take in consideration of bullet drop once you get to at least the 3rd round, where the doors, the warehouse doors, are going to open up, and there's going to be targets even further away, so make sure you keep in mind of that. But honestly, in this one, kind of with the previous trial, you pretty much need to take in consideration of also getting collaterals, because there are going to be instances where you can get collaterals collaterals, and I recommend doing that so that way you get some bonus time when you complete the trial after each round, so that way it takes off some time for the completing it, or giving you more score anyway. It doesn't take off time, it just gives you more score overall at the end. And I was lucky enough to get 4,400 points on this on the dot, and that's what you need to get gold. I have not been able to improve that yet, but yeah, you could probably get this one done. Just kind of like make sure you get used to the whole sniper handling. The next one is Price's Alley. And this one is really random. So essentially you're going to have a pistol and you're going to be shooting these different targets that are just going to be popping up constantly. Like they're just going to be popping up in different random locations. Of course, there's going to be civilian targets as well, so make sure you don't hit them. There are these like certain civilians that have like blue shirts on, and they just pop up at the worst times, and you shoot them on accident because they pop up in front of the enemy. So just be aware of that. This one's completely random. There's no certain pattern you can actually try and do. But to be honest with you, it was pretty easy. Like I think I completed it on like my first or second try, if I'm not mistaken. It really wasn't that difficult to actually do, so I'm sure you guys can get this one done pretty well. Also, get headshots on the targets. It gives you 50 extra bonus points, so that's another thing. I also think accuracy counts as well, so make sure you do not miss any of your shots, and of course don't hit any civilians either, or else you're not going to get as much score. And then the last one is a shooting range one, which actually was a little tricky at first, but if you guys watch my gameplay and see where I'm shooting these targets, I actually have a certain pattern of which targets I shoot first, and then while I'm shooting some of the targets, I'm kind of strafing my character in a certain direction so I can line up another target to be a collateral with one in the far back. So if you kind of watch my gameplay and see how I'm doing that, it will get you guys gold, no problem. I was able to get it in 27.7 seconds, and you only need 30 seconds in order to actually get it gold, so it wasn't too difficult. I did have to like kind of figure out a good pattern to try and get all the targets as fast as possible. I'm not a huge fan of the shooting range ones. They're very difficult for me to actually figure out and do. I'm pretty sure it's a lot easier with a mouse and keyboard. I mean, it's super easy to aim with a mouse, and so using a controller can be a little bit difficult, but I do not think this is the hardest one out of all these different trials. I think you guys can be able to figure out, especially if you're just watching how I'm actually playing on this trial specifically. So anyway, that is all the trials that I just briefly went over. What are my overall thoughts on the Games of Summer event? I think it's cool. I am so happy they're trying to promote trials a lot more. I think they notice that maybe the community isn't actually using their trial tokens, and so they're not actually playing the trials. And that could be another reason why people aren't doing the trials, is because they don't want to use up their tickets, right? Or tokens, whatever they're called. It's their tickets to use the trials, because you can't play the trials unlimited amount of times. You have to level up and get tickets in order to play them, which is kind of a dumb thing in my opinion. Another thing, trials aren't very rewarding. They can give you lots of XP. They're very, very helpful for when a new season comes out in Modern Warfare and you want to level up as fast as possible and get done with those officer rank challenges. That's what I do. I always play the trials and activate double XP tokens and get 10,000 XP really easily, and I'm able to level up super fast. That's pretty much all trials are really good for. I mean, I think they're fun. I love trying to get 3 stars on them. It's just kind of an incentive of mine of just trying to get them done, you know. But I do think there should be better rewards. I mean, with this Games of Summer event, we have actually pretty good rewards for completing these. I mean, you get weapon variants, so it'd be nice to see that with each season trials, if you complete all of them, maybe you get a weapon variant or something like that. There should be a little bit more of an incentive for the actual trials in the game itself, because now that we see this Games of Summer event, you're also getting some pretty cool rewards, but in the base game itself, when it comes to trials, and since you don't have unlimited tries, you're only getting XP. You're not getting any weapon variants whatsoever, so I think that's kind of a shame. But I love the Games of Summer event. It's promoting the trials feature in the game, which I think is awesome. Not to mention there are leaderboards in the game for different countries of who has like the best score or best times, and they just kind of put it together overall, and it's in a leaderboard or whatever. I don't think like with the first, second, or third place countries, I don't know if they're gonna have like some sort of like reward for during the end of this event, which by the way, this event does end, I believe, on September 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, September 7th is, I believe, is the last day you can actually do this event, so make sure you complete all these trials by then and try and get gold. But anyway, yeah, don't know if there's a reward for the country thing. It could be just bragging rights for the leaderboards, but I thought I'd just bring it up anyway. But yeah, there you go, you guys. Games of Summer event. I think it's really fun. I recommend participating in it. I think it can actually improve your gameplay skill-wise, especially when it comes to accuracy. That's really what it focused on mostly, and maybe a little bit of movement with the parkour one. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Call of Duty videos in the future, and I shall catch you guys later.